Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on everyone's favourite building game. Today we're going to be jumping back in, and today actually as well it's a bit different because right now I'm not talking to you while playing the game, I'm talking to you after playing the game because it seems that the audio file for this video hasn't really saved. So instead of trying to re-record, I've decided just to do a voiceover and have a talk at the same time and cover some things I want to while we're here in the game. So right now what you're currently seeing is me just doing some work on the default house that you spawn in. I decided to knock down the walls to the bathroom, make it a bit more open plan, and just start swinging the hammer around, seeing what I could and couldn't destroy. At one point I tried destroying a outer wall, but the game doesn't let you do that, as I soon figured out. So I just kept going with the hammer and destroying the bathroom wall and trying to like clear it out just to start some work on the house and get an idea in my head of how I'm going to turn this into something that's sellable. Because right now, the state that it's in and what it looks like, you can't really sell that, in my opinion, and it's not really worth much currently. But with a bit of, fine polishing, a little shake of the hand as well with the deal, trying to make it into something that could sell is important, and I was working out what I could do. Now, it's not as easy to choose this, but I was thinking of an office room, maybe something that's small and compact, or something along those lines. It's pretty hard to choose, but eventually I decided to get some tiles for the floor, and it's just a case of choosing what type. Now I settled on some wood. I wanted some nice bright white wood, so I went with this kind of nice elk wood. It really brings the room to life. It's better than the wood that's already in the room, and I didn't mind getting it already in just to get an idea of the room. Although I was confident we'd need a bathroom in there, so I'd be tiling that again. With the Eki wood in, I said elk, sorry, I meant Eki wood. It's just a case of looking then at what we're doing with the walls and the windows mainly as well, because the windows in this place are pretty core to the build, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them, whether I was going to keep them, get rid of them, renew them. It's a lot to do with it. But at first I was looking at if we need to plaster some walls, and I know we will have to do some plastering somewhere, but then it kind of dawned on me that we don't have the plastering skill necessarily anyway. So it's a case of, is it needed? And do we have it available? So at that point, I decided just get rid of all the windows, the door's gone, and to forget the plastering and try and put some panels up on the walls themselves. So I then went in and started looking at certain items to start. For some reason, I was thinking of a TV all of a sudden because my brain's flipped off it and went electronics because I caught an eye and went, ooh, I get some from that. But then I immediately went back to what I was looking for. And as you can see now, I'm going to be going looking for the wall panels. And really, it's a case of just flicking through, working out what I want, and getting the right panels. Now, I debated on painting the wall for a few seconds and then went in with an idea of just putting up panels and being simple. There's no point going all out complex. So I went and got a simplified panel, and it's pretty straightforward, really. I was going to do the whole room and then work out where the bathroom would be. It's probably going to be where it already is the bathroom. But yeah, when it comes to actually buying the panels, though, this is the problem. You got to work out how much you need sometimes. And at this point, it's when I realized I don't have the plastering ability and the paneling ability. So, although I had all this idea in my mind, I had to go and get a job that would give me that ability. So it was a bit annoying, so I decided to take a dive into some of these lovely missions, and it's when I noticed this. I'm on a boat. It kind of caught my eye, and well, really, it was interesting because I'd never thought about this. That there was certain game modes in the game, like I'm on a boat. So I just wanted to go and see what it was about, get a feel for it, and kind of understand it. So we're going to have a cutscene in a second where he explains this boat, and then we're going to go from there. But, you know, it's a great game, this, and it's a great play for this mission too, or this storyline, sorry. But the boat just doesn't look realistic.
Behold, my yacht. Technically my night I invited some friends over. The party was epic. I'm quite popular, you see. We had a blast. At least the parts I remember. Wait a sec. I've got a message. Told you I'm... Oh no! My dad is coming back earlier! All this mess, he cannot see any of it. Everything has to be cleaned as if nothing had happened here. No, no, no! My dad's records! They should be on the wall. You need to find them. They must be somewhere around here. Oh god, Dad is gonna be so pissed. I don't want to get in trouble. I know you can save my skin. Please. I'll pay you a little extra if you do help me. You will help me, right?
So at this point, I kind of looked at the boat and I was a bit unsure how we would approach even renewing a boat and what it would be asking for, but the bulk of it is just cleaning. So I was kind of taking in the idea that, these people had actually gone and had this almost epic party, and as you can see, they've just left a giant mess. And well, that happens at parties. A lot of food everywhere. I thought it's a bit like Chinese takeout kind of thing. But it was kind of weird to think how they got it on the boat and all, So they must have had it delivered somehow, maybe to the beach, and had it taken from a boat to the boat. I don't know, but it was kind of interesting, really. And as you look around, it's quite a nice setting. It does give you the vibe of a boat. The water's realistic. It's just the shape of the boat doesn't strike you as realistic. And that's the problem with it. But when, cleaning up this boat, I decided just to get rid of all the trash I could see before worrying about mopping anything up. So at this point, it was just a grab and run around, and it kind of told me how to change the stairs if I needed to. I debated that, and I said to myself the stairs were fine, nothing needed changing. And then we had these cups here, which, if I was making a decision, I would have got rid of the cups. Sold them just so they weren't on the display, because that kind of implies something's been had here. I know for my fact of this is, I don't think I'd get away with this with my parents, but I don't have a private yacht. But I know for a fact if I did, they wouldn't be letting me just chill out on the yacht every day. They'd be a bit more parenting than this father, but I get the vibe that he throws money at a problem just to keep his son resolved while he runs some mega business, maybe. Because he owns a yacht, so he must have some kind of budget, and he must be giving his son money anyway, because look how much the budget is to just clean this place up. So it's quite apparent, but as I'm going around, I'm just, grabbing all this garbage, and there's such a mess to this boat that it's beyond belief that this was just a small party. It must have had some real depth to it. And how many people were there? Like, how many bottles have I already collected on the top deck? We've never gone down deck yet. It's insane how much they had to drink. But with that said, we're just going around and now getting the mop out. So what can we do, eh? Just mop the place up, get it all nice and clean and tidy. And at this point, I realised that fridge has had its day. It looks like they had a bit too much fun with it, because that door has come right off that fridge, and that's why we're selling it in a second. But the bigger problem is, if you read it, electric cooker and fridge need replacing. So they really, really must have been doing something with those objects, because blimey heck, to break a fridge and a cooker, that is some feat. But again, these happen, and this is just what happens when they have parties, kids. You're not considering what's around you when you've had a bit too much to drink, and then after you've had your big party, they're now going, oh, now we need to fix it. And yeah, I mean, look at it. It's destroyed. So at that point, I'm like, yep, that needs to go. What a shame. And I kind of didn't really notice at the time that the cooker was going, but I do now know it's going, obviously. So yeah, we're just going around, and I realised these chairs need kind of tucking in. Just clean them up a little, put them right where they're supposed to be, or somewhat about that. Nice and simple, chairs tucked away. And now we're looking around the bottom of the deck. Pretty clean there. It counts as a garden for some reason. I know. So at this point, I realised the fridge needed replacing with, ironically, a smaller fridge. So I was looking for somewhere to put this smaller fridge, and I kind of decided at that point in time under the stairs. It just looks where you'd put a fridge, and this is when I noticed that the oven was being replaced for what I felt was a cheaper oven, really, if you look at it. So I got rid of the old one, and I bought the new one. And I realised the new one is a bit smaller, so my brain was kind of debating whether we want to put that small fridge, the smaller fridge, over where the smaller oven is. And, well, it was a proper debate in my mind, but I kind of left it for
No.
now.
What have they done to my father's anchor? My friends must have played with it at the party and now it's ruined.
So with that storyline of the anchor being damaged, at this point I kind of realised we would be doing some renovation work as well, and I was kind of looking forward to it, really. Like the shape of the anchor, look at it. It just called out to me as
You have some tools for that, right?
something interesting, something that would be really fun to like clean up. So at first it's just a case of sanding it down,
It must be cleaned on every side.
and it
Dad
really
did
is.
not notice any trace of those damages, or I'm a goner.
It's really hard to do a voiceover when he talks over you. It really is something majestic, this, and I actually like the look of it, and I'd like to get one for myself. But what it made me realise is this thing has been battered like it's been in a war. So it's just a case of getting as much sanding on it as I can, and then refinishing it. And that's the thing with these, you know, we're sanding it to try and get all those scratches leveled out.
What happened to the color? Can you fix it? Make it look, you know, finished?
So at this point, I had to choose a colour that would go with it, and I kind of chose to go with this. It just makes sense, you know, it's look like that colour. It's the closest colour I've got. That's what we're going to do with it. Now, at this point, I'm just flipping it and painting over it, or I should say finishing, i.e. varnishing it. And really, it's a simple job, this. It's not majorly difficult. But the big thing was this little bit at the top, and I hadn't realised straight away. But now I'm staring at it, trying to like get an idea of what I need to do. And you can see I'm looking around like, do I do what? Do I flip it? You know, I'm asking him what I need to do. But there's a tiny bit at the top that needs doing. And eventually it just clicked after closing it that I needed to do something. But that is just how it is. I'm staring at it, confused as anyone would be reasonably. And I kind of just left it for a moment and went to the room and decided, hey, we're just going to go and deal with this room first. And then I'll work out what I need to do with it. And it's one of those. So I have a feeling this bed was used for some recreational fun. So, and with the mirrors being broken, they had to go. It's just so obvious. And I was a bit surprised they didn't want me to buy any mirrors straight away. But again, I guess the budget and it being a teenager, it wasn't on his mind straight away at least. So it's one of those. I know as a parent, if you came home to that, you'd notice 3 mirrors missing. But at this point, we picked up this lovely anchor and I accidentally tried selling it. Totally accidentally. And at this point, I'm just staring at it going, what is that it needs doing? And, you know, I'm oblivious to the fact that that needs fixing. So I'm just staring at it, trying to work out what it wants me to do while then going doing other rooms just to distract myself so my brain can work out what it is it wants doing. And it's just like a puzzle. You know, I'm staring at it like this is just a puzzle. And then I'm thinking, where does this go? Does it go on a wall? Does it go, you know? But then I decided, let's go down to the other room, and straight away spotted record number 1, not very far from the scene. You could say the crime scene was pretty deliberate. And record number 2 is just next to it. So, you know, teenage antics, they didn't move it too far. But I did notice the lines on the wall, so I tried lining it up with those as much as I could and trying to make it look like it was originally where it meant to be. But again, it's not as easy, so yeah. And then with the guitar's like, there's no line on the wall for this, so where is it going? I just kind of tilted it and put it where it looked right. Fix the trophies by all means. I have no clue what those are for, really. I'm assuming some form of boat contest and all that. And then the graffiti on the painting. That's a worst nightmare. You know, I'm amazed that that's even fixable. You would find it hard to fix that. But again, we're just cleaning up the bathrooms. I did like this bathroom. It really is a cool bathroom. But then the gym. You know, a gym on a boat, it's really clever because if you're stuck on a boat, or a yacht, I should say, you need somewhere to recreationalize and get some, exercise in on a small place like this. But again, it's quite cool. But then we went above deck, and as you can see, we're just picking up garbage, more takeout food, more bags. I don't know what the bags were really covering. More drinks, a lot of drinks really, a lot of cups for those drinks. And as you can see, the drinks got a bit motioned, as you can tell. They ended up everywhere, and these rather interesting cushions and couch layout, and it's just one of those. But right now, I know for a fact, I was saying to myself, where does this anchor go, and how do I fix this anchor so it is right? Because I'm really racking my brain out right now, but trying to distract from it, and that's what will happen all the time with me. I will have a problem and I will distract myself while picturing said problem, trying to work out what I do with it. But again, this anchor is just something I need to work out. And while I'm doing that, I'm just looking around the boat, trying to figure out if there's anything I've missed. You know, look for anything that stands out, finding any rubbish, any dirt, anything that needs fixing, and just cleaning up. And that's all I can do with the boat. There's nothing more you can do than that. And then I decided, hey, I can't be bothered going around. I'm just going to climb through the window, hoping that no one would obviously look at the window and be like, maybe someone uses this as a doorway, not a window. So, but at this point, let's pick up this blasted anchor. And it kind of immediately dawned on me at this point. There's a piece on this I've missed. And it says there, furniture renovation stock. Progress halfway. And at that point, bam, realised, and I felt like an idiot. I hadn't realised I hadn't painted it or sanded it. And to be fair, when I was filming this, it was late at night, so I wasn't really, in the full state of mind.
That was close. Looks like new to me now, and my eyesight is way better than my dad's. Thank you.
So at this point, yeah, the anchor was done and I could exit the workshop, so I just did. And we picked up the anchor and I put it on this wall here, because I didn't know where to put it, but it just made sense to go there. And with that, the job was done. So we managed to turn this dreadfully damaged boat into something more appropriate. And it just looks better now. I didn't make the bed, unfortunately, but again, beds don't get made. I forgot all about the bed and it just said job complete, so I just went with it. It's one of those. But now we have something more important to do. We made a bit of cash there, but we didn't unlock the plastering feature and we sidetracked quite a bit. So going back to the house, I was just thinking, hey, I haven't done anything here other than unlock a yacht. And yeah, the yacht looks great. I cannot wait to make use of that boat in some future episode, but we have still got an outstanding issue. So what can I do with an outstanding issue like this? Well, I decided to look at houses, as you can see, and I was debating what house would I first buy to renovate. Which one of these houses is one within our budget and two possible for me to renovate and just give that new feel, that new zing, We've got nuclear bunkers, we've got cyberpunk style houses, we've got one on the moon, we've got all of those style houses and then gardens. But nothing was ringing out to me. until I saw the burned house. And I just said, that is the perfect starting block for our little company. To buy this house, clean it up, and make it into something. Make it into something that sells, something that resonates, and something that just can take off. But how? How was I going to do this? What was I going to do to achieve this? Well, first off, we had to clean the place, and immediately I got confused between the cleaning tools. Now, if you don't own the DLC, you can only use interior clean tools on the outside. But if you own the DLC, it insists that the hose is the mop. But I hadn't clicked straight away because I'm still new to this new part of the DLC and the new part of the game. So I hadn't really gathered that bit yet. So I decided to go inside and just clean the inside out. I used the sell it tool, sorry, to just get rid of all the items in here. And I kind of worked out which room was going to be which, but I wanted to get rid of every bit of furniture, every door, and just get a feel for the building. And I'd already at this point actually decided what I was going to do. I was going to have a kitchenette with a living room attached, a bathroom, and a bedroom. But the bathroom attached to the bedroom and not the kitchen, which it's currently attached to. And that's pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of work to be done before that was even viable. So going outside, I just had to quickly run around. I grabbed some of the weeds, and then I realized, hey, I have this lawnmower. So let's work out how it does its job, right? Being new to the lawnmower, I was looking at the controls, working out how to turn the speed up, and then kind of working out how to maneuver it. And I just decided to go around the garden and get all these weeds. And this is pretty effective, this lawnmower, but it's also a pain to control, you know. It's not exactly easy when you want to turn up speed. The speed increase is a blastedly good thing, but also a pain. And this telephone pole is going to become an issue later down the road as well. It's just in the way, and oh, has it caused me issues when building? If that pole wasn't there, oh, it would have been so much easier. And I accidentally put the lawnmower away by pressing the wrong key then, but that's fine. We just decided to continue away at the build and get some stuff done. And, you know, get the lawnmower going through all this grass, and it's all overgrown, but this is what happens when you leave gardens unattended, you know. If you leave a garden even for a couple of months, it does start to grow with weeds and the grass itself. And I'm speaking from experience now. After winter, we had some stuff going on in the family, and our big backyard, and it's very big. In the back of it, it was growing like mental, but you just couldn't see it straight away. And once it had grown quite a bit, it was like a jungle. You know, it's taller than this grass on the screen, and oh my god, we had to get the gardener in, and we thought it would take them at least 2 days to clear out. They did it in half a day. Half a day. But we thought it was impossible for us to do. And now looking back at that, using the strimmer, you know, the grass cutter, the one that we have in the game, using that to cut all the grass down would have been more viable than it looked. When you look at these things, right, as an owner of a house, and you look at this and you have like a job or you do something, you know, for me, college and then filming YouTube videos and meeting with friends and, you know, having a bit of a social life while also trying to do some work and volunteering here, there, and everywhere. You look at your backyard and you go, I don't have the time to do that. When in reality, you probably do. You just don't feel ready to do such a big job because it looks like a big thing when you have a giant backyard like this. And in reality, the owner of this probably had the time, but their house burnt down. They probably bought a new house or moved out. Insurance might have got them a new house and said this was just a condemned house. Whatever happened, and then the grass probably grew even more. I'm just assuming the storyline of this house now, and that's the important bit about the house, understanding its value, right? What led to it being the way it is? What can we do to make this house brand new? And well, really, it's just a question, right? How do I want to make this house renewed, brand new, modernized? You know, all these fancy words I'm throwing out. That's just asking, what do I do with the house? Do I, you know, knock down certain rooms, connect them to other rooms? Do I keep it the same? Do I make it vintage? Do I make it modern? Do I make it brand new? Do I keep the style as it is? Well, keeping the style as it is all burnt out isn't going to sell much. So at this point, the question became, look at the damage, how can we repair it? So I decided to go inside and really just rack my brains with this. And I'm just looking at the floor, looking at the rooms, finding any garbage that there is, having a look at the back door, working out that kind of thing, and debating what I'm going to do with the house. I end up picking up a tile and going, do I get rid of these? And I immediately said, yes, I want to do some gravel to the house. And now I want to clean up outside. And this is where I was trying to work out what I used to clean up. And I kind of gathered the garden hose was in the same place. And I couldn't swap towards the mop. So I was trying to put together, is this what I use? And it dawned. Yes. In the garden, use the hose. In the house, use the mop. And it makes sense. So going around the house, we're just getting rid of all this lime and this muck and some of the burnt shards. We can see it on the map. It's quite messy and muddy. And we're managing to get some of the stuff inside as well, inside the wall, which is kind of a win-win. So I'm just going around the house now, spraying it with water and trying to get everywhere I can. And it's pretty difficult at times, but overall we're getting it there. And it's just a case of aiming and shooting, really. It's not difficult. It's just a problematic, hose to use, and you got to aim where you want it. You can't use the mop for this, but it's doable. I think I prefer the Mows over the mop because you can point and shoot a bit easier, right? And at this point, I'm like, the windows, I need to go clean the windows. So we went into this bedroom, which I'm going to convert, and I started with bedroom windows. Pretty straightforward. Just get the windows cleaned up. Nice and easy, eh? But just cleaning the windows, it brings the house to a bit more life, and you can see outside, and you can see what this place could become. And that's the vision you want to get. You want to know what this place actually can be so that you know what you're making it into. And where I'm stood right now, I'd already decided to make this into the kitchenette. A kitchenette being a living room and a kitchen. So a kitchenette being a small kitchen attached. And that's a big move to do. But again, it's something I felt this house needed. So going around, we're just cleaning up the windows, trying to get a vision of what's going to be behind the window, what's going to be, in that room behind that window when you're looking in out from the outside, and then again from the inside outside, what's going to be outside the window. Because bear in mind, we have the garden as well, and that is a big sellable factor of this house. We have this giant garden around them, and all the houses do, to be fair. It's what you do with it. So right now we're just going around with the mop, and we're just trying to clean up every bit of dirt, make sure I've not missed any pieces at all. It's pretty annoying, this bit. You got to go around with a mop, and you've just got to make sure you get every last piece. It's not fun. It's not fun at all, but we managed to do it. And as we reach into this living room, one of the things that you got to really think about is positioning. The doors, the windows, entry points, furniture, the whole shebang, and it's a small house. So I kind of said to myself, it's a small house. How about the elderly couple? Right? They're the fourth on the list normally when I buy houses like this. But look at them, they're second place right now. They actually are interested. And this could be a really good retirement house, Make a nice garden in the back for the grandkids, have something in the front for them, a nice kitchenette, nice living room, bedroom, and a bathroom, something easy for them. So I'm just looking around now, debating how I'm going to do it. I decided to get rid of these lights. They just don't sell as the house. I want to modernize the house, and I want to make it modern. So how do I achieve this? Well, at this point I'm debating what I want to do, right? And I'm just going through my perks and just quickly upgrading them, getting negotiating on the pricing. Seeing all the dirt on the map was what I was immediately thinking of. But again, I went with the multiple trash disposal, which actually is a lot more efficient. And at this point, I said, hey, let's go back to the office. Let's go and have a thinking point. Go and get an idea of what we're going to do, and then come back to it, and then look at it. Because if I make my decisions now, I haven't cleared my head. I wanted to go out, clear my head, and find something to do that with. How am I going to clear my head, though? That's always the question. How? Do I, take on a new job? or do I just hang back and wait? And I kind of looked at this playground and barbecue, and I went to it to get some inspiration for this backyard. Well, how do you do that though? They want a playground and a barbecue. I think this backyard needs a playground and a barbecue. You know, it's what you do. If it's going to have grandkids, how do you achieve that? And the backyard was the biggest problem anyway for me. So I decided, let's go to someone else's backyard and see what they want doing. Kind of mimic them a bit, just a bit. So at this point, I'm just going up to these weeds using the lawnmower. It's the most efficient thing to get rid of these weeds. And we're just going over them with the lawnmower. It's pretty easy, this. And we're just whizzing around with the lawnmower in hand and zapping away these weeds. It's pretty straightforward. I do love the quotes. Sometimes it's like, I love fresh grass cut in the morning, warms my heart, those kind of things. And it is actually quite a nice smell. So yeah, it's just a case of going around the lawnmower now and getting this backyard up to shape. I don't mind the fact that you can go through objects. It makes some tiny sense. I was just trying to find where these weeds were at this point, and this was infuriating, not being able to find them. And then you just find them at the last second. You're like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that tiny detail? And the problem is, it's the tiny details that sell the product. And you've got to look for them. And I was really looking for those details. Really was. And even now, I'm looking for details. Like, it's very clear that you have to be very detail orientated. And at this point, I'm just looking at the items needed. And I'm like, okay, we need a swing set. So we'll get the swing. And then I'm like, okay, we need this little spring rocker. And we'll get that. And we'll put it next to swings. Just makes sense. And a sand pit just behind that in that corner. So the corner of the grid it's giving me. And then the cherry tree. Well, I wanted to put it next to the tree at the back to grow with the swing set. So I said, hey, we'll put it next to this other tree. How bad can it be? Now, that was a bit of a bad decision now I look at it, because they want a cherry tree there. And the tree is going to need some room to grow. But at the time, it just looked right. And then assembling the swing is pretty straightforward. You just got to attach that, and bam. Swing is up, nice and easy. And this is done. Playground is done, eh? But now we have the problem. We have to assemble 2 of these, put chairs underneath it, and have a barbecue. Oh, well, I said to myself, let's put it next to the door. Let's then get this weird eclipse couch that I really couldn't work out where I was going to put. This was the biggest problem I had. Where you put this couch, it just doesn't fit, you know? And I just said right where it is now. There's nowhere it can go. It's big, bulky, and it's what you do with it. So at this point, I'm just choosing my layers, and this is when I realised I need another one of these things. So I decided to put them right next to each other. It makes the most sense, and they would look the best that way anyway. So attaching them together makes the most sense, and that's probably how I'd approach it anyway. It was just a pain in getting it in the right position until finally it fit where I wanted it, nice and snug. And then we finally have the table. And this is the bit that matters the most. I couldn't care less where the grill goes, it's the table. The table has to look perfect, because this is what the customer's paying for, right? And you have to lay it out right. So at this point, I'm just like, hey, we'll tuck the chairs in nicely and neatly, and just get the chairs around the table. Because if you can get that looking right, the customer will pay a lot for it. And at this point, I decide to move this little couch more facing towards where the kids are playing, just so you have a bit more of a clear space, and then putting the barbecue right in the corner behind this chair. It just made sense, just for safety reasons. It's not underneath anything, it's not too close to the trees, and that's what makes sense. And at this point, I realised the customer bought a load of plants already, so I guess we're doing some digging. And these shrubs, it's quite obvious, they want them to grow and kind of make the place look nice, so I kind of went with that. I enjoyed digging out the holes, even though it's tedious at best, and then planting it. I do love the animations that the devs have put in, and the watering the plant and seeing it coming to life. It just yeah, it really sells the gardening aspect to you. You know, you get to design a garden, build it, and then put some plants in and bring them to life. Who couldn't love that? I love it. It's one of the big things, you know. But again, we're just bringing this place to life, and it's nice. It's snug, nice, and calm. But again, we're just decorating a garden, so it is how it is, right? Dig everywhere out, putting in plants. That's a gardening job. That's all this is. Digging, building. And it pays. If you know what you're doing and you do the job right, it pays. But at this point, I'm wondering, what is the client wanting now? What have I missed, and what could they possibly need? So I'm just looking at this and I'm like, coffee corner? Oh, okay. Let's go find out where that corner is and let's see what they need. So they want a table and 2 chairs. Where could a table and 2 chairs go? Quite clearly, behind the table over here. And it clicked straight away. It just looks like a coffee corner. So I put the table down, is what I was thinking of doing. And then I clicked the wrong key, but I put the table down, got the chairs, and I noticed they've got this weird curve. So it was a case of lining it up right. So I got them down, moved the table just a bit out, just so I can kind of visualize where, and then I angled them as best as I could and put them facing it like that. It's not a perfect fit, I'll be honest, but it does work somewhat. So it works, you know, and the customer's happy and I'm happy. That's all that matters. So yeah, and I had a quick nosy in the house. I was hoping to cut through the house, but I couldn't. And we kind of looked at this and said, job done. 7 grand in the bank. Pretty good, 7 grand. And here we have it, final product. A nice, clean garden, all ready for the new customer. Just to be happy with it, and we get to cut that onto our portfolio. Going back to the house, I had a few thoughts in mind now. There's a few things I can do, and it's what I pull off now that matters. And I kind of looked at another job and said, hey, let's get something simple to finish off the day, right? So I looked at the additional walls and said, yeah, easy enough. Let's see what we have to do then. And as you can already see, this is a pretty straightforward job. We've got this parent's bedroom and a kid's room with a wall that's open plan. And I already realised what they wanted. They wanted that wall that's halfway to go all the way across. It made sense immediately. It's just how you pull it off. So I went in and I gathered this was the room from the planning, and I realised we're also cutting down on them. So I got my lovely trusty hammer out and we just started smashing away at this wall. It's not fun when you have to destroy walls, and it's really not fun when you get it wrong. That's the bigger thing, right? You don't want to get it wrong because you destroy the wrong wall. But now you have to repair the customer's property, and oh, is it a nightmare, because you got to work out what colour their paint is. And they do not like when you destroy the wrong wall. Now sometimes the game won't let you though, and sometimes it will. It is tedious when it comes to this. Tedious, but pulled it off. Look at it, you know, getting these little bits off the top, trying to destroy this intermediate wall. And then we have to sell the cot. So at this point I realised the kid had obviously grown old enough to sleep in a bed. So the customer must have a plan. They must have. It's apparent. So what do we do? Well, we simply get rid of the cot and we get a bed. And looking at the room, it's just where that goes. And you can see immediately that this wall, before it was installed, was originally red in this room, and they painted it since. So pretty straightforward where the wall was going, where the wall that had been previously painted was. So we're just assembling this wall, trying to get it right, and it's pretty straightforward. We're going to install a wall, you know? At this point I'm hoping that I don't have to move that wardrobe over there, and it looks like I won't. So I go over there and just check, and I'm like, perfect. Not having to move the wardrobe is a win. It's a pure win. Just putting it in, getting the wall out its way, not moving any furniture that's not necessary to move. is the plan. If you have to move it, you move it. If you don't have to move it, you don't want to move it. You know, it's pretty straightforward at that point. And I kind of looked at this and went, hey, once I seal that room, I'm going to walk around. That's fine. Walking around to the other room is fine. I don't mind that. It's just one of those. I mean, personally, yeah, makes sense. Brick the wall up, then go around to it. Although, I'd love to just be able to, you know, clip through the wall and paint it and then go back through. But again, it doesn't matter. Putting the bed in was straightforward. I put the bed in that corner, put the table where it was, and I kind of looked at the room and said, hey, it's done. So I was like, oh, easy job, eh? Simple, elegant. I then realised that the plug that was broken must be behind this couch. It must be. So I was like debating where it is, and I could see it on the map. I just couldn't see how I was going to get to it. So I picked up the couch and had to move it. It's a shame really, but the couch had to move out, and this rusty plug that clearly was being neglected at some point in its time had to be replaced. They must need it for something, and it's understandable, you know. You need sockets in your house to plug stuff in. You could have a corner lamp there, you could have anything there, and it needs to work. So straight away, put the screws into this, get the lines all set up, and just get it done for them, right? That's all they're asking for. They want the plug reinstalling on a wall building. Nice, simple, easy enough. So that's what we did. Put the plug in, new plug on the wall, and then we had to correct the furniture. Now I could have called this a job done, but no, the furniture has to go back right. It's the customer's house, it matters. And as close as I can get it to where it was, matters. But I had to move that silly plant, and that's a shame. I just had to move stuff around for this socket. How the dev got it in place in the first place is beyond me, but there are plants in the way, so yeah, stuff had to be slightly moved around to accommodate for this plug, and I kind of debated this, but we had to go in and correct this eventually, so checking if there's any way I could tuck it in, and there wasn't. So putting the plants back, straightforward. And once I was happy that the plants were in the right place, or at least close to they could be, one on the table unfortunately, I decided to look around to find out what was missing. And I look in the tablet and it doesn't really say, it just says repair. So I go looking around looking for whatever it is that needs repairing. And at that point, it's just finding it. You know, I looked outside, checked if it could be out here, went around the perimeter, you know, checked for anything that could be missing, and then I realised, no, it's an interior job. Let's go check the basement, and there it is. So obviously this plug downstairs had the same issue, need replacing, and same again. Took the plug out, got a new piece, put the wires into the plug, screwed it back on to the plate, and that was it. So yeah, so guys, I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope you've enjoyed walking you through, the playthrough. It was pretty fun, I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did though, please leave some feedback in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe to make sure you're up to date with the latest videos. Also, if you've enjoyed it enough, give it a like, and we'll see you next time.